Welcome to the Neuropreneur Rising podcast. My name's Polly Pollock. I'm a marketing mentor for neurodivergent online business owners. I've been in the marketing and sales world for nearly a decade, and I've lived through the ups, downs, phases, trends, virality, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. And I'm here to guide you through how to build a sustainable marketing strategy specifically for neurodivergent brains that don't rely on showing up on social media every day, don't require you to force neurotypical productivity hacks, and don't ask you to choose between peace and profit. In these episodes, you're going to find trainings, tips, and personal insights around building an algorithm-proof business, getting visible sustainably, building your online community in a human-first way, making sustainable sales without compromising your values, and how to work with your unique neurodivergence and bring out your natural way of working rather than forcing yourself into someone else's plan. All right, let's dive in. Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome back to the Neuropreneur Rising podcast. So I'm on audio again this week and next week because I'm batching a couple episodes. By the way, just before I start, sorry if I sound a bit weird. I can't pronounce my S's very well because I have an ear infection, which is obviously so nice and really the way that I wanted to start my week. So it feels, awesome to have that. But if I sound a little bit weird or funky, that's why. I'm a girly that's very prone to hay fever, and normally around this time of year, I just get fucking riddled with ear infections. Sounds so nice, like so appealing. Makes you really want to come near me, doesn't it? Anyway, so I'm on audio again this week, and next week's I'm batching a couple, as I said. And the reason for this is because I've been wondering how exactly I'm going to kind of strategize this podcast growth in 2026, and part of that looks like getting guests on every other episode. So 2 a month will be kind of solo trainings, and then the other 2 will be guests where we're going to go into still training, still hugely valuable, but I'm going to be bringing in some different insights in the neurodivergent business world. So I'm super stoked to be doing that. But the reason I'm batch creating 2 today is because later this week I'm going to go and look at a podcast studio, because I just, it's so funny because I've got to the point where, obviously, if you don't know, I live in a van. I'm a van lifer, so I'm technically a digital nomad. Is that what you call it? I don't even know. But I am finding filming in here a little challenging, and also it's taking up so much of my day, and like the processing the files and then editing it and then fucking uploading it, and it's actually just like it's taking so long on my little laptop, and it's a good laptop, but for some I think it's because I work off of like hotspot and stuff, I don't know, which is fine until I need to upload stuff. So anyway, I'm going to be getting someone in the podcast studio, a sound engineer or whatever you call them, to do the filming, do the editing, send it over, and then I can just upload it, which feels awesome. Because it's funny because I've noticed this in the last year or so, where I've been knowing I need to outsource certain tasks, but I'm still in baby entrepreneur head of I need to do it all myself. That's something I'm really, really learning. And also I was raised to be a tight bastard by my family, like doing their best, but it very much raised with the mentality of like, why pay someone else to do it and you can do it yourself? And it's funny because like my dad raised me with that, but that's certainly not how he is now. Like now that he's older and everything, he's like, I'll just fucking pay someone to do it. So anyway, that's also what I'm unlearning. So trying to outsource more so I can be spending more time with my students, more time actually creating these episodes, and less time fanny arsing around with editing stuff, basically. So anyway, there's my life story. Let's get into it. So this week I want to talk about findability versus visibility, and in more specific, some common myths about quote unquote needing to market on social media in 2026 as a coach or online service based business. I think over the years, especially last like kind of 5-6 years, it's been like the norm to say, oh yeah, well, marketing on social media is a no-brainer. Like you just need to do it, blah blah blah, and all this shit. And the more conversations I've been having with people over the last few weeks, especially as I've kind of made this shift to mainly off social media strategies for neurodivergence, which is amazing to see how many people honestly just needed like a permission slip in a way, like to say, oh my god, that's such good news, I fucking hate Instagram, because that's what the majority of people have said. And like, I'm not anti social media. I'm not saying don't ever post on Instagram. I'm just saying, like, if it is right for you, if it's not, you might be listening to this and you're like, I love social media. Like, I get so many clients from social media. Then, like, more power to you. But if you are listening and you're like, yeah, no, I hate Instagram, but I feel like I have to show up on there. But it's actually destroying. And I know this sounds dramatic to some people, but this is the very real experience of being a neurodivergent person. Trying to market on social media where it's fundamentally not in alignment with you, you know, it's damaging to mental health. So and we need to be careful. And I just believe that business should be about enjoyment. Yes, there are challenges. Yes, you will fail. Oh my god, you will fail so much. Yes, you'll be challenged. You'll probably cry like once a week. but in terms of like marketing and, you know, putting yourself out there, I really believe that I know that we have the choice to do it in a way that is in alignment with who we are and in a way that we're actually going to enjoy. And so, as I was saying, you know, since pivoting my own business and what I teach in the Neurofriendly Sales Accelerator to be mainly off social media marketing, I've received a lot of questions kind of about how to go about this. To be totally honest with you, before I made this shift, I kind of, because I've been in the marketing world for nearly a decade now, I kind of thought that off social media stuff was common knowledge. And I suppose where I've been in that world for a while, I guess I didn't really realize to the extent, and also how many newer entrepreneurs are coming in just being told to focus on Instagram. But I didn't really realize to the extent that people were thinking that there's nothing else but Instagram, and how many people haven't got those bulletproof foundations set up off of social media, haven't even got an email list set up, or, you know, leads coming in there. And yeah, I'm slowly realizing that is the case. You know, people don't have those basic, or what I consider basic, and actually what is now not basic at all, because everyone has been distracted over the last however many years with Instagram. You know, they don't have those off social foundations set up. So yeah, the more time goes on, the more I realize I'm very fucking wrong about that. But that does give me, you know, obviously this wonderful opportunity to really, really craft my own mentorship and my own coaching around that. And, you know, it seems like a much bigger thing. Like, if you've ever heard me talk about kind of my values and the reason why I do the work that I do, yes, of course, it's to help neurodivergents actually build those businesses where they can have that, you know, income and do the work that they enjoy. And it, like, that's so like the main thing that drives it, because, you know, if you're neurodivergent, you know that employment probably, it might be for you, but for a lot of us it's not. So knowing how to do that, and obviously making an income through that, but the under layer of that is confidence for me, and helping neurodivergent people feel really, really, really confident in how they run their business. And yeah, I feel like for a lot of people, they try and force that into social media when actually they'd kind of feel more confident using their skills elsewhere. That doesn't mean you're hiding. That doesn't mean that because you're a writer than more than a talker, that you are like somewhat hiding yourself or not expressing yourself. It's just that your route to expression is totally different than the next. Also means, like, for me, I love being on camera. I love talking. I have no issues like standing on a stage or stuff like that, or like talking to, like, teaching groups, but I don't want to be on social media. I have no fucking qualms about talking elsewhere, but social media is just not for me. So anyway, it's been really interesting to see, and the demand even for NFSA has gone up like a lot since I've kind of shifted this focus, which is amazing, and I'm so grateful. But yeah, this is, sorry if I sound a bit different. I just had to pause because I was having a sneezing fit. Oh my God, we love it. Happy Monday. I'm very hay fevery. But yeah, having these conversations has been so incredible because it allows me to be like, okay, what do you need? What do you need to be like? What do you need to learn about? Where's the gap that you feel like you're missing? And also what deeper than that do you need? And then I can make these awesome podcast episodes for you guys about them. So yeah, I feel like some common traps or like myths in like 2026 marketing, when you're an online business, when you're an online service provider, coach, educator, anything kind of in that realm, you know, or some of the things that I've really heard specifically in the DMs and the emails and stuff like that, is things like, if I'm not on Instagram in 2026, I won't be visible. If I'm not on Instagram, I won't be taken seriously. If I'm not posting, yeah, this was one that kind of shocked me a little bit. If I'm not on Instagram, then where? Like, where else is there? And I was kind of like, fuck. That, and I've heard that from multiple people. So, yeah, I'm going to break down those nasty, stinky myths today. And I'm going to be providing you with some insight that I hope will just be like a massive relief and will kind of help you, I guess, break through this belief that basically has neurodivergent online business owners feeling like they are running on a treadmill in 2026 with marketing and basically exhausting themselves, and then feeling like somewhat ashamed because they think that they can't keep up, and they think that that's on them, and they think they're some kind of like weirdo for it. But let me tell you, that exhaustion and that burnout happens when you rely solely on visibility in your marketing. And I know that that sounds ridiculous to hear off the bat, like, oh my God, is marketing not about visibility? And this is the thing, it's not the same as findability, right? If you break it down. And I'm not saying you have to like go completely off of social media. I think everyone should incorporate it in a way that feels right to them. And if that for you means, fuck this, I'm not posting anymore, then that is absolutely fine. And, totally, that's doable. But you'll need to have other things set up so that you become findable, right? But then at the same time, if you're like, well, I kind of like it, I just want to post when I want, and then I want to have my real marketing strategies off of social media, I think that that's great too. I still very much use DMs, so people will tend to find me through things that I've done off social media. Then they come and follow my account. Then they'll talk to me a little bit in the DMs, and I love that because I love talking. So again, just using it as a tool and decentering it from the main part of your marketing strategy. So yeah, I'm not saying you have to ditch it altogether. I'm just saying you need to build your foundational, sustainable foundations basically first to become findable, so that being visible isn't something like 24/7, isn't something that's looming over your head like, oh, I need to post today. You know what I mean? So, okay. Myth 1. This is probably the one that I've heard most. So if I'm not on Instagram in 2026, I won't be visible. People won't know I exist, basically. So as I said earlier, so this kind of reminds me of a question that I got from someone in my community last week, when we were kind of talking about where else she can look at showing up. And she said, if not Instagram, then where? And I mentioned, she enjoys being on video. So I mentioned, when we're looking at long form content, I said, how about YouTube? And she was kind of like, what, like YouTube shorts? And she couldn't wrap her head around what I was saying. And I was like, it really woke me up basically to the fact that people are so brainwashed by Instagram at this point. And it's okay. So it reminds me of this fucking douchebag ex that we all probably have, who's like, you'll never be anyone without me, or like, you'll never find anyone like me, or like, you'll never like achieve your dreams without me, or like whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? And that's the grip that I feel Instagram has on people, because it's like, oh, I'll never be anything without Instagram, or like people won't. And it's just such bullshit. Like, Instagram is one tiny place tiny place like on the internet. I know how many users. Yes, I know, like the people now, oh yeah, but we have X million users joining per day, and I'm like, yeah, and that's the fucking problem. That's why your content's not being seen. So, okay, let's just remember about that. But it's one place. It's one fucking place. The world of online and offline is a big place. Like, go explore it. This is not something you have to do. Like, there are so many places to be visible and teach your expertise in a way better and deeper way once a week, maybe, rather than 10 times a week. YouTube, blogging, podcasting, to name a few. There are so many places. And like I said, visibility is different from findability. Visibility is needing to constantly be at the top of, like, there's top of mind awareness, which is a huge thing in marketing. You want to be top of mind awareness, but that's not what I mean when I say, like, you don't want to worry about constantly needing to be at the top of someone's feed just so they remember you exist. Like, and I don't believe in that anyway. I really think like an engaged community won't need daily content, but this has now become like a game of pure attention because there is so much instability in where your content is getting seen and where it's going to, and it's actually like a game of like, I need to capture your attention, and that is actually outweighing the connection piece a lot of the time. So yeah, there are many places you can get visible other than Instagram, but this is just it. It's the addiction piece, guys. Like, it's the addiction of, even if you're getting no clients through Instagram, which I know is the case for a fair few people, or they're few and far between, you feel this instability with it because it's not stable. And like I said, like, even if you're getting just a few clients or none, it has you going back. Why do you think that is? Is it because you really want to? Is it because you wake up in the morning and you're like, yes, I get to work out how to try and get my Instagram to reach more people today. I'm so fucking stoked. I'm going to go on my morning walk with a spring in my step and a fire under my ass. And I'm just so grateful that I get to spend today working out how to get more reach on my Instagram. Fuck yeah. Do you really think that? Because if you do, like, fair enough, you're a real positive person. And I really do want to be friends with you, if that's okay. But but yeah, most people don't. It's like, for fuck's sake, my content isn't getting any like views. I'm in the middle of a launch and I'm just posting on social media and I'm not reaching enough people. Or it's not even just about reach. It's even just about the amount of times that people actually need to see something on social media because they go on there to doom scroll for the information to sink in a lot of the time. I'm not saying all the time. I'm not saying when you have an established brand. I'm, of course, not when you have an established brand, but that's not the people who I work with. Because there's a lot of people that would be like, well, how come so-and-so gets to post like about their offer once? Well, it's because so-and-so has an established brand, and they probably established that brand before, the algorithm was so undependent. Wait, no, hang on. Undependable. Oh, I swear I do this at least once an episode. Hope you guys get a kick out of it. Unreliable. There we go. I got there in the end. That's all that matters. But yeah, that's the thing. We don't view it from a lens of, yeah, okay, but what about when you're still building a brand? So, myth number 2. If I'm not on Instagram, I won't be taken seriously. I get this one, but like, I get that and there is a big but, and I like big buts, and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny. No, I'm not gonna sing Sir Mix-a-Lot, but I am gonna listen to it after this episode now. It is a big but. I get this, but like, having an Instagram account can work as kind of like a digital storefront kind of thing. I get that it gives you some kind of presence, but it doesn't guarantee you trust or people to take you seriously at all. Like, that far from it, actually. So this is just my personal belief of what I've seen over the years, and this is just what I personally believe from what I've seen, experienced, and taught. I personally believe that where marketing on Instagram has now become and I'm saying Instagram, TikTok, kind of, they're both the same fucking thing at this point. Well, they're not, but you know what I mean. They're not. But, when I say Instagram, I mean short form content. I personally believe that where marketing on those platforms has become the most accessible way to get your business out there. Like every motherfucker on and their dog is doing reels and posting on Instagram. I think people, in terms of like consumers, are starting to see that anyone can do it. A monkey can do it. You know what I mean? Like actually a monkey probably could hold a phone in its hand, record a reel and post it. I'd actually say that's pretty, I'm not even exaggerating there. But I think it used to be a case of, yeah, maybe it was like a good way of showing who you are and your personal brand, which it still is. And I get that used to bring a different element to it than maybe like your email list or your blog posts or your long form content, like your YouTube and stuff like that. But now where there are so many businesses doing that, I think that people are kind of getting the gist of it. So it's such a low barrier to entry and get your business out there and start posting content that anyone can do it. And I actually think that people are starting to see that, and in turn are realizing that actually it doesn't make you credible just because you have an Instagram account. Actually the opposite. So that's my personal view on it, versus, when you do a podcast or a YouTube video or a blog post, that shows way more depth and effort based on exactly what your ideal client is searching for, and it adds a total new layer to your credibility. We're really, in my opinion, we are reversing this shit. I'm loving seeing it. It's very nostalgic for me. I really think that we're just doing a 180 on it. And I'm not saying like social media isn't working for anyone anymore. Like I just want to keep reiterating that. I'm just saying for people kind of in the first few years of their business, still building their brand, still building their credibility, still building their businesses, I would really, really encourage you to look at these things. And then in addition, in terms of like trust and credibility, showing up in other people's audiences, something I teach massively in NFSA, and we do it I always say, like in NFSA, we have introvert friendly options and like for everything. But I just add that in, because you don't have to be like an extrovert and love like teaching online and stuff like that in workshops and in people's programs, or even on stages. You can totally do this in an introvert friendly way, but showing up in other people's audiences through collaborations puts you in front of an already primed audience who trusts the host, and then in turn will trust you more. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think Instagram and those kind of channels are full of big opinions and noise, especially because like the marketing advice, like I say a lot like about polarization, like, and this isn't just on social media, this is marketing in general. It's kind of like the 80-20 rule. When I talk about polarization, I mean being so in line with your values and your ideal client, and your niche, that you essentially are happy to drive away the 80%. And that actually statistically is exactly what I do working with neurodivergence. It's about 20% of entrepreneurs, we reckon, are neurodivergent, and that's probably growing. So I'm happy driving away the 80%. It can just feel a bit scary though to do when you're in the beginning, because I know I really struggled to wrap my head around this logic. Sorry, just a little sidetrack here, but I do think it's important. I really struggled to get my head around this logic of like, but I'm driving people away, which is going to mean less money, and that's just not true. It's really not, because whereas all online spaces and all businesses in general are growing, people seek specialization, and people really want to know that in investing in you, they're going to get exactly what they need. Whereas like 20 years ago, service providers and even coaches were fairly few and far between, compared to what they are now. So I just want to kind of, I feel that that's important to mention. But so that's what I mean when I say, polarization or kind of repel to attract kind of vibe. But what the common kind of advice these days has become with like social media marketing is to be polarizing, in the sense of, I'm going to put my hot takes and spicy opinions out there. And I'm just going to try and like, there are people who, and I was talking about this with one of my NFSA alumni the other day, and she was like, I'm never fucking doing that. And I was like, I know, that's why I like you so much, because you're awesome, because you're like, and this is what all my students are like, you know, they all become so, maybe they're not at the start, but by the time they leave NFSA, they're so in line with their values, and I fucking love that. But we were talking about, you know, this advice that actually a lot of people give, which is like, post polarizing content and then start a war in the comment section, and that will get you more engagement. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here, guys? Are we business owners, or are we engagement farmers? Like, am I in some sort, it just makes me feel so strange. But that is something that is really, like, I've seen that advice like a fair amount of times. So anyway, my very long-winded point there was, Instagram is full of those big opinions and noise, but those off social channels and collaborations are majorly underutilized, in my opinion. And I think that honestly, because it's so low effort to market on Instagram in comparison to like actual off social media marketing, I think that I don't see that catching up anytime soon, because I think people won't, they've gotten so used to becoming content creators, and they're like, no, I don't want to do it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's, again, just my opinion. All right, myth 3. Can you hear that? There is a horse outside my window going nuts, like screaming. I'm wondering if I've done something to upset it, like just my presence. Yeah, Jesus. Sorry if you can hear that. It's like, he's an angry boy. I don't even have a window open. That's how loud it is. So, okay, myth number 3, our final myth that we are going to bust. Ow, I just hit my hand. Okay, so long form content is a slower burn than socials. So just to recap, when I say long form content, I mean long form video content like YouTube, or for example, this podcast episode right here is long form content. And I also mean like blogging, that kind of thing. Those are like my personal big 3. Obviously there are other ways, other things. I wouldn't describe like email marketing as long form content, just because that's more like community nurturing. That's more like within your world. I don't know. It is, but it isn't. I don't know. There's a discussion for a different episode. I don't want to get sidetracked. So yeah, long form content is a slower burn than socials. This is something I fundamentally disagree with in 2026. So, okay, I think this used to be true, but let's do a little thought exercise. Okay, so thought exercise for you. How long have you been plugging away at social media, and how many clients have actually come from that? And this is not to shame you. This is not to be like, oh my God, you're doing shit. Like, none of that. We don't fuck with that shit here. But this is a thought exercise to just basically encourage you to do a little bit of an audit in terms of where you're at now and where you want to be. We need that, you know. So how long have you been plugging away at social media, and how many clients have actually come from that? Second question is, do you feel like the energy matches the reward of that? So do you feel like the energy, and potentially for you, if it's not, that's great, but potentially stress that's gone into that matches the reward that has come out of that? And then third question is, how long do you spend each day or each week trying to work out the hacks, tips, and tricks only to get the same results? Because that is what the reality of social media is like for a lot, or feels like for a lot of entrepreneurs in general, business owners in general, but especially neurodivergent people. You know, so if that sounds like a fast burn to you, that does not sound like a fast burn to me. That sounds like, you know, a slow burn of just perpetual like crap. But that's just my opinion, you know. I think what makes it feel like a faster burn is when you get a spike in views that still lead to no sales, or when you get some kind of engagement that keeps you hanging on and you're like, oh, I must be doing something right then, but you're still getting no sales. And that's what Instagram is designed to do. It's designed to give you just it breadcrumbs, basically. It's breadcrumbing you. And Yeah, I can only speak to the experience, and I think it's so important that I do speak to the experience of just the people who need me and have expressed that they need this kind of side to their marketing. Because as I said, I know that there will be a lot of other business and marketing coaches that will be like, yeah, but you just need to do this, and like you're wrong about that, and like this is not, and I just think that may be true for you, but it's not true for how it feels for my community. And honestly, the majority of those people are starting to see, oh shit, yeah, the results are really not linear these days. No one can predict anything. No one can say I've got the exact 10-step blueprint for social media sales and stuff like that anymore. Because it used to be more linear. It didn't used to be completely linear, but it did used to be more linear. Anyway, but I believe like pre 2021, probably, maybe 2022, that statement probably would be true, right? But now with the algorithms kind of working in the way that they are working, and it's frustrating for many business owners. And also adding in, there's obviously, as I was talking about earlier, a trust recession, as we're calling it, on social media. Where people are just being way more choosy about who they're investing in, and I love that, and I think that I've always kind of said, like, this is what the coaching and service industry needs, because in the past, when we had the coaching kind of industry boom around 2020, like, that was a real mess. In my opinion, it was a real fucking mess, and it's left a lot of people actually traumatized by having some pretty crap coaching experiences, me included. I'm not traumatized now, but I was after. But I'm also so grateful, because I wouldn't actually be a business coach, a marketing coach, if I didn't have that. But people are being more choosy. That's what I mean by when I say trust recession, and I think that that's the right thing. I think that I'm happy with that. But yeah, that's one of the main reasons why I don't believe that this statement to be true, because I think that people are doing more research when they're looking for a solution from a coach or a service provider of any kind online. Especially, they're going to be doing more research. I also think that people's behaviors on social media is changing, and social media is a place to doom scroll, whereas if you need something, you'll search on Google or even ChatGPT, YouTube, podcast, that kind of thing. And when people really want to learn and seek answers, they don't need to be pulled out of it with a 3-second hook. They'll be searching for it. And I think that that's the best way, in my opinion, to get qualified leads, rather than... Also, another thought exercise: how many people on social media have like dicked you about, and like you think they're interested and then they're not? Fickle kind of behavior. Yeah, it's just another thought of mine. But yeah, I really think that when people are searching for you through long form content, they are definitely more searching for something more deep and curated, and they are more primed to buy. An analogy that I used last week in a conversation, and I was like, I really need to keep using that, because she like many of my community and students sometimes, and this is where I like to think I'm a good storyteller. This is something that I've grown up with having the problem of, is when I am getting something explained to me, I don't always understand it, and like it sometimes just doesn't go in. When I say sometimes, I mean at least twice a day. So when I was a kid and when I was growing up, and even now as an adult, something my brother and my dad used to do is they used to just take the thing and turn it into an analogy and a story, and then I'd be like, why didn't you just say that in the first place? And obviously now, and as an adult, I know that obviously that is because of my neurospicy brain, but that's something I really try and do as a coach, and it works so well. And I love it. But in a conversation last week, I was kind of trying to explain this this whole thing of findability versus visibility, and how you can show up on different parts of the internet to get in front of people who are already searching for you. And she kind of wasn't getting it, and I was like, okay. I said, so imagine you are in a room, or no, wait, I fucked it already. Right, okay. Imagine you are just about to deliver a talk on, I would just pick a really random big industry of personal development. So you're going to give a talk on women's health. I don't know. And you're ready, you've got all your stuff prepared, and you're like feeling really excited. And let's say there are 2 rooms, and you're going to go and do a talk in both, right? And you're like, oh my god, I'm amping myself up. Fuck yeah, this is going to be so good. And you go in and you walk into the first room, and there are about like 200 people there, and you walk in and you're like, hey guys, I'm going to do a talk on women's health today. Who's ready? And people are just that the whole 200 people are there, and they're like scrolling on their phones, and like no one looks up, and they're just fucking scrolling away, and you're like, I said I'm gonna give a talk on women's health, like who's ready? And maybe you know, a handful of people pop their heads up and they're like, oh yeah, awesome, yeah, that's good. Maybe like a few nice comments, maybe like some people give you like a thumbs up or something like that, you know. And then you deliver the talk, and people are kind of half engaged. Some people aren't engaged at all, and some people, you know, you've got a few eyes on you who are like, oh yeah, I'm really engaged. But for the most part, people are kind of half in and half out, and you leave and you're like, what the fuck? I spent so long planning that and putting so much energy into that, and I just feel like no one cared. Like, the fuck is that? So then, you know, you come back the next day or whatever, and you're like, okay, I want to do this again. And you go into the second room, and you have the same speech, you have the same everything prepared, and you're like, okay, hopefully this one isn't a shit show. And you walk into the room, 200 people there, and as soon as you walk into the room, people are like, hey, oh my god, people are standing up, everybody's fully engaged, everybody is like standing up out of their seats, like people are like clapping, you know, they're ready to listen, and all eyes are on you when you're on that stage, and you have your speech or whatever your your speech or whatever you're doing prepared, and all eyes are on you, and you leave and you're like, fuck yes, this is awesome, this is what I wanted. That is the analogy that I would use when we are talking about findability versus visibility, and more importantly, like trying to appeal to people who are doom scrolling versus how, like, people who are actually searching on the internet, on YouTube, on podcast, on blogging, for the thing that you're talking about, for the thing that you're covering, right? They're going to be way more receptive these days. And also when you're doing like collabs and stuff, when you're actually doing that exact thing, which is teaching in like a workshop, or, you know, collaborating with someone else's audience in some kind of way, that's exactly what it is. So yeah, hopefully that analogy kind of helped, but that's kind of what I mean. And, you know, I really don't see that as a slower burn. I feel like maybe it takes a while for you to get, like, it can feel a little bit like a thankless job when you are building. Of course, like things like SEO and blogging and YouTube and those longer form things can take, when you're doing it from scratch, it can take a few months plus, you know what I mean? But again, I would guide you back to that thought exercise of how many like months, years even, have you been plugging away at socials for it not to feel rewarding? You know what I mean? And it's only becoming more uncertain. So that's what I would say to you. It's worth it. So that is my tense. If you can still hear that horse, I'm so sorry. I do not know what is wrong with it. I might just go out and check in a bit. So that's my 10 cents on these myths. And like, honestly, I do feel like these kind of myths and more are created by like the Instagram guys and people teaching Instagram to basically keep you believing that you need to be there, even if it is at the expense of your mental health and of your life and of your happiness. And fuck that, basically, is what I say to that. I'm all for sustainable business, and yeah, that may be not the sexiest thing to talk about, but it feels sexy when you can say, I'm not working myself into the ground, I don't have to dance on camera, and slow, sustainable and regular income growth is something that is a very like and when I say slow, I actually don't mean slow, I just don't mean spikes then nothing, spikes then nothing, spikes then nothing, because that is just the worst. So yeah, that's my 10 cents. And, you know, when we actually prioritize becoming findable, we actually become more credible and more trustworthy. And as I said, we don't have to keep plugging away with daily posting when we just really want to wake up, have a nice tea, chill the fuck out for a bit, and know that the work that we've already done and continue to do at a lower and slower rate than, you know, IG posting is taking care of us. It's taking care of our business. Yes, that requires maintenance, of course. You're not just going to post once on YouTube and then be like, where's my clients? You know, but it's not going to be posting 10 times a week. So just let that sink in. You know, how would that feel for you? to have that kind of thing where you don't have to feel tied to social media in that way. What do you feel like is stopping you? Do you feel like it's like knowing where to start? Do you feel like it's like the fear that it might be too much to handle, or fear that you might make a mistake? Just like really being honest and raw and open with yourself about that is a good place to start. Or it might just be like, fuck yeah, I don't know, man. I've just been under the thumb of thinking I need to do it this way, and like, thanks for telling me something different. It could just be that. Sometimes it's just not even that deep. So yeah, that's a good place to start. And if it was yes to any of those things, the Neurofriendly Sales Accelerator is where you are fully supported by me through all of that, and fully supported in the process of building a profitable, sustainable business with a marketing strategy that doesn't basically force you to be glued to posting Instagram content and short form content all the live long day. Yeah, because fuck that, as I said. So within the program, I swear I drop the F-bomb like 2,600 times per episode. It's just me. So within the program, you will learn energy-friendly marketing strategies that are primarily based around off social media, that fills up your client roster without basically needing to keep up with the literal shit ton of new algorithm hacks and everything that is just being crammed into your brain. So that growing your business actually feels good and sustainable and doable and in line with the life that you want to live as well. And also in line with your unique strengths as well. As I mentioned earlier, the most enjoyable part for me about running my program is helping people to do it in an individual way. As I said, like, someone might be a natural writer, someone might be a natural talker, someone might be somewhere in between. Someone might love speaking in events and on stages or whatever. Someone might fucking hate it. So like the most enjoyable part for me is helping you do that in a way that is in line with your personality and your natural strengths. And, that's the main outcome we want, because yeah, believe me, even when you are making sales, but you secretly hate how you're doing it, you will burn out, and that's not a fun feeling. Like, take it from me, I've done the social media grind and the hustle, and I grew my Instagram account to, I think it was just under 50k followers at one point, which I know isn't millions and millions, but I've done it. I felt like shit in the process, and being neurodivergent, I just wish that someone had created something like NFSA for me. And I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm not that kind of gal. Toot toot. But there is nothing that even comes close to the support and value you get as a neurodivergent online business owner inside NFSA. Nothing. Like, I've done my market research, believe me. And there is a reason why my students don't just leave with results, but they leave feeling confident and totally confident. And there is a reason why also the vast majority of NFSA students choose to extend and stay on, because the support is literally unmatched. And that's something that I'm very, very proud of. And I'm very proud of it. So if you want me to personally teach and coach you through everything I talked about today and way more, so that you can build a profitable, neuro-friendly business with a marketing strategy that doesn't require you to post out of your ass, or post pictures of your ass, because like, no, some people don't. If you do, again, like, more power to you, but some of us don't. I don't know why I say these things sometimes. Come hop on a call with me to see if it's a fit, and you can get started if it feels like the right choice for you. And my discovery calls are not like salesy sales calls where I'm like, gonna push you into something. It is really just to see if you are a fit, get to know me as your potential coach, and you will know if it's a fit for you. So I will leave the links in the show notes for you to head over to the main page, see all the details, and book a call if it feels like your next move. Or you can just head to www.neuropreneurrising.com/NFSA. That's www.neuropreneurrising.com/NFSA. Wow, I'm so glad that I didn't mess that up. It was close. So that is it from me today. Go have an awesome day, go smash it, and I will see you next week.